Hey everyone, this is Gary Wilson, and welcome to this week's live Path to Prosperity webinar. Welcome aboard to all the new students and veteran students alike. Some of you are in the investor agent training program, some of you are in flipping for profits, some of you are in turning rental problems into real estate profits, some of you are flipping, buying rentals, wholesaling is another one, that's right, and soon to come commercial program. Okay, we just developed that this past year. Some of you participated in that, and we're very close to having the final published version. And for those of you who did participate in that back in the summer, you'll get that obviously as part of what you paid back then. Anybody who didn't do that, you'll have the opportunity to now participate in that program, but that's probably 2 months out. I'll keep you posted on that. So in the meantime, let's see who all we have here, and we'll get started in just a second. First, let's see. Cheryl, brand new, welcome aboard, Cheryl. Good to see you. Jim Collins also. Boy, got some new folks here. All right, catch you. Lewis, good to see you, buddy. Chris Latham, there's a blast for the past, Chris. So Chris, we're in the final editing stages of the commercial reach program. You're not going to get the final version of that. Took all those months to get it all done. Yuma, good to see you. Sheikha, good to see you too. Sheikha, I did get your text, by the way, with the property. I didn't get any nibbles on that from my end, so I just want to give you an update there. So let's do this. Let me make sure everybody can see in here. So hang on one second. Chat, let's type this to all panelists and attendees. Okay, all right. Looks like everybody's on. So if you're new, by the way, we are live. We are actually recording now. So you'll notice that by default, you're in mute mode. And what you do to ask a question or post something, you just go to your chat box little thing there, type in that, and I'll see it, and everybody else will see it too. So this is totally unscripted. It's basically, you get to see the good, the bad, and the ugly. And if from time to time we do unmute you to bring you on if we're doing like role playing, we have a particular property we're looking at. So remember, on these webinars, guys, this is your time to bring forth anything you want to discuss. So just let me know ahead of time what that is. Okay, this is your way. It's like open mic. You can fill in the gaps. We can look at properties. There's all kinds of things we can do here. All right. Now, the next day, you'll always get the email from Beverly with the recording of the webinar. So keep an eye out on that. Okay. And look for instructions from her and also changes to the schedule, changes to the platforms, all kinds of good stuff. And you definitely want to use that to stay on top of things, stay abreast of things. Okay. So in any case, let's go ahead and get into the night subject. The night subject has to do with doing a bus tour for your prospects, okay? So bus tours are generally not something you do right out of the gate. A bus tour is something you do when you already have a following, generally speaking, okay? I'm gonna go by a checklist. I'm gonna send you the checklist, by the way, or actually Beverly will. We created a checklist just for doing the bus tours, all right? So I'm going to go through it tonight. You'll get to see it, and then attached to the email tomorrow, you'll get the actual document itself, right? So first things first, this is something you want to attempt once you already have a bit of a following, okay? If you're already serving, a few hundred people, and your database has a few hundred people in it, and you might want to consider doing a bus tour. For me personally, I didn't do a bus tour until I already was doing the workshops for a while. I was doing the workshops for about a year. We were averaging 200 people per month, and we started doing bus tours, not every single month. We did bus tours about once a quarter, sometimes even, not even that, sometimes just twice a year, just depending on the climate, the economic climate, the weather, whatever. It's not something you want to do, you can wear it out, I guess is what I'm saying. It's something you make it a special event, okay? It'd be greater. Now, I know people that do this every single month. Absolutely, it works, but they've got a big following. It creates demand, and you can start to attract more cold traffic. So back to the beginning. This is something you do when you already are serving people. You've got a database with, say, 200 to 300 people in it, okay? Now, let me go to the workshop document, workshop checklist, and let's do share here. So hang on one second. I'm going to do share. Here it is. Now you should all see on your screen a Word doc that starts off and says bus tour checklist. So if one of you could give me a chat here real quick and let me know that you can see the bus tour checklist. If you can do that, that would be great. And then we'll go ahead and get moving here. So let's see, that was the first one came in. Thanks, Louis, for doing that. I appreciate that. Thanks. Oh, hey, Tanya, how you doing? Good to see you. All right. Okay. First things first. This is where you want to start paying attention and start taking notes. Again, I know you're going to get the recording of this, but personally speaking, I've taught a lot of classes and a lot of groups over the last 18 years. I can tell you, in spite of all the recordings you have access to, you definitely want to take notes, okay? You're going to get the checklist, but in your own handwriting, take notes. So the first thing you want to write is set a goal for yourself for what you want to accomplish with the bus tour, okay? In other words, do you want to do a bus tour with just 12 people looking at properties with you, and maybe you get 6 deals out of it, or you want to do a bus tour with 36 people where you actually rent a charter bus and you maybe get 12 or 18 deals? You just have to determine what your goals are. Now, you know me by now, I'm pretty conservative. I would say, start small, learn small, and then grow big. I'm not saying don't set a small goal. What I'm saying is set your goal, like Og Mandino says, right? Aim for the stars and maybe you'll hit the moon, but it's better for aiming for the moon and maybe you only hit a rock, okay? So aim for the stars, but when it comes to the practical application of this technique, don't go spending a bunch of money renting out charter buses and things like that in the beginning. Maybe everybody carpools. That's one thing. I'll talk about that here in a little bit, okay? Save some money, okay? It still qualifies as a bus tour. So, but the bottom line is just determine what your goals are. Do you want this to be an annual thing, a monthly thing, or quarterly thing? Do you want an average of 4 transactions per bus tour? You want to go big? Whatever it is, write it down, and I want to show you how to get started. So you determine your goals, right? Next thing you want to determine is who do you want to serve, okay? Because there's different bus tours for different purposes. You might do one bus tour just for flippers, and you might do another bus tour just for landlords, people buying rentals. Now, on both types of bus tours, you will likely attract wholesalers, okay? Wholesalers will wholesale anything once they figure out how to wholesale. But for your purposes, I would separate the two groups. Yes, there are investors who want to do both. They want to buy flips and they want to buy rentals too. But really, it's 2 different strategies and 2 different methodologies. So we learn to actually separate the 2 tours. One tour will be just for flips, one tour just for rentals, okay? Which, by the way, doubles your frequency of doing bus tours. How about that? So determine what that is. And also, you want to determine if there's a particular group of people that you want to cater to, okay? In other words, maybe you're an engineer yourself or a former engineer. I would start with the engineers. Maybe you're a former nurse, and maybe you want to attract nurses into your business, okay? It could be, we've had people do this for photographers and runners and all kinds of stuff, okay? You can niche it down to only cater to a specific group of people by vocation and or hobby, okay? Now, in order to do this, I'm going to assume you're already doing a monthly workshop. You don't have to be doing a workshop to do the bus tour, but I will tell you this, the 2 work well together, and I think you should be doing a monthly workshop for investors, okay? And here's one of the reasons why. 2 months in advance of your bus tour, like the monthly meeting you're having, your workshop, the one that's 2 months in advance of the bus tour, announce then that you're having a bus tour coming up. That's the latest you want to announce it. Maybe you should do it three workshops in advance. Okay, but basically you're letting people know so they can start making plans, okay? 30 days in advance, you want to secure transportation, okay? Now, here's my suggestion on this. I'm just going to scoot down here. Whoops, sorry, let me go back real quick. All right, on your first bus tour, I would suggest don't spend money on getting big vans and buses and things like that. Have everybody carpool. So when you're having your monthly meeting, you can say, do I have any carpool volunteers? And the people will raise their hand and volunteer. The morning of the tour, you all meet at a certain location, make it strategic, somewhere around the properties you're going to tour. Meet there at 8:30, always a half hour in advance, okay? And everybody meets there, they start to get their carpools together. So basically what I'm getting at is 30 days in advance of the monthly meeting before the workshop. In advance, you want to secure the transportation. And again, your first one, I suggest you do carpooling, keep some costs down. Of course, you should be a driver too, right? And you should have a helper, by the way. So in any case, let's just move into the next part of the subject. The workshop that's the month prior, you want to actually discuss the logistics of the bus tour. Okay, let people know what to expect. You also want to start identifying the types of properties you want. Okay, and even get specific. Start looking at specific properties. Now, I'm assuming you're an investor agent. If you're watching this, you should be doing the letter campaign to drum up properties to look at. Don't just look at properties on the MLS or LoopNet or CoStar. Okay. You want to identify properties by going under the radar screen and approach the owners of these properties directly and get that property under contract to sell, right? So you can let them know that one of the things you're going to do is you're going to do a bus tour. Not on every property, but the ones that make sense, okay? Let them know bus tour is going to work. They're going to sell the property. All the showings will be done in one day. That's the benefit to the seller, is that they only got to show the property on one day, and chances are pretty good they're going to get that thing sold, okay? So in any case, you want to identify properties going out a month in advance, all right? Now, you should do the actual bus tour on the Saturday after the next monthly meeting. So bus tours, we always do them on Saturdays. I know there's just people do them on Sundays and Fridays and what have you, but I'm telling you the most common, the most likely scenario for people to show up is going to be on a Saturday, okay? Always just remember that, just write Saturday down, okay? Now, the next thing is this, is you want to have some people with you on board. One of those people you want to have with you is a lender, okay? The lender is going to be there on the bus with you. As you're writing offers, the lender is going to be able to step in and start getting some paperwork done on their end too. Now, I'm going to back up just a second here. The lender you choose should definitely be one that you already know is investor friendly. Like you have a relationship with them. You've had clients already do business with them. And what I'm getting at is at least the month prior to the bus tour, the monthly meeting prior to the bus tour, is you should have the lender qualify the people who want to participate. Here's where you start separating the wheat from the chaff. The only people you want on your bus tour are the people who qualify, okay? You don't want just anybody on the bus tour. You don't want tire kickers or people that can't pull the trigger. You want people who are qualified, pre-approved, and have a proof of funds and ready to rock and roll. So let the lender take care of that. And anybody that doesn't qualify, you politely tell them, well, there's only so many seats on the bus. We really need to reserve those to people who are qualified, and you can get on another bus tour once we've got your qualified, okay? So make sure you have a lender on board with you. Then the other person you want, by the way, is an assistant, okay? You want to have an assistant with you who can help you out, because when you're going to be going through properties pretty fast, okay? And you're going to have a lot of questions. A lot of people are going to need help. Hey, Gary, come look at this. Hey, Chris, come look at that. Just have somebody with you to help out, preferably another agent, or at least somebody who can talk to the people about flipping, about the properties. Remember, they don't have to be a licensee, but they can't conduct brokerage business if they're not a licensee. This is one of the things you got to make a judgment call. Do you want somebody with you that will split commissions with you and they can carry half the load, or do you want to have an assistant with you that's not going to split the commissions with you, but you have to pay them for their time, and also has to be somebody who's got enough knowledge and skills to talk to these folks about the properties, okay, and what it would take to flip a property or you keep it as a rental, okay? Now, here's another person you may want to consider having on your bus tour. And that's a contractor, okay? You notice I didn't say inspector, I just said contractor, and here's why. I love inspectors, I use inspectors, but they're going to want to go through the properties with a fine-tooth comb, and there's no way they can do that in 20 minutes. They're going to take 2 hours to be in a property, right? So a contractor can go through it at a high level say, you know, if you're going through with your clients, they're going to rely on you for some judgment also. It's going to be pretty obvious if the place needs a new kitchen. Where a contractor can do a quick measurement and say, you know what, this is a 12 by 12. This is what it would take, based on my experience, to redo this kitchen. Flooring, cabinetry, appliances, lighting, countertops, in the kitchen, the sink base and faucet and all that, okay? An inspector is going to go through and check out all the plumbing underneath and all that. It's just going to take forever. So I love inspectors, but they have their place. It's just this is not the place. You're going to have, should want to have a contractor there. They can talk about pricing with your clients, okay? So a contractor is a great, valuable asset, along with the lender. The contractor would get business out of this. The lender would get business out of this. You're going to get business out of this. Your clients will get properties out of this. It's literally is win-win. And the people who need to or want to sell are likely going to sell the properties, okay? Okay, now, you want to start promoting this. In the beginning, I would suggest you only promote it to your existing contacts, your contacts on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube if you're on YouTube, and of course your own database. You can use email to market to these folks. So you want to take advantage of any and all those techniques. So here's some examples. Let's say you're doing your monthly workshop and your database has 300 people in it. And yet only 30 people come to your monthly workshop. That's okay. You can still market to the other 270. So at least a month out, you should start sending them information. You know, give them Google bus tours and look for examples of bus tours and testimonials that people have provided from being on bus tours where they actually bought properties. And of course, the realtor earned commissions and the lender got a deal out of it too. And maybe the contractor got a deal out of it too. So you want to provide in your promotional material, your marketing material in advance, as much testimonial material as you possibly can, okay? That's the number one thing you want to promote is testimonials, people who have already done this, consumers who've been on your bus tours before or other bus tours. The next thing is you want to provide case studies, okay? You can provide case studies of flips in the case of a flipping tour, or you can provide case studies on rentals in the case of a rental tour. But if you can provide case studies showing what a property was purchased for, what was done in the terms of remodeling, and then eventually what it's sold for. Okay, so case studies is a big thing to promote. I'll also talk about the fact that they're going to have a hand in selecting the properties that you look at, doing the analysis on them, let them know that they're going to have contractors there, let them know you'll have a lender there who can pre-qualify or pre-approve them, in advance for free. So talk about all the benefits they're going to get. You know, plus all the legwork is done in advance. You're selecting properties, you're narrowing the field down based on analysis, and then you only look at the best of the best properties, okay? Which leads me to the next most critical thing. We always do financial analysis first, to the degree that we can. Financial analysis on the properties that we're selecting to view, okay? Now, you might be thinking, well, how do we know what all the numbers are if we haven't seen the property? You're going to look at the property, but you're only going to physically look at properties that already on paper have the highest probability of working out as an investment. Does that make sense? Okay. Remember this, your time is more efficiently spent doing desktop analysis. You don't have to drive anywhere, you don't have to look at anything. And the most expensive use of your time is out in the field, driving around, looking at properties. You're in a property, you're taking notes, you're taking pictures, you're recording things. It takes time to do that, okay? So you don't want to spend time out on the road if not necessary. You only want to spend time on properties, physically at the properties, on the best properties that are predetermined to make the most sense for investing. Okay, it's one of the most critical things you could ever learn with this. Now let me do a quick pause here. I'm going to check for some chat messages here, so hang on just one second. Let's see, we got a question here from Tanya. Hey Tanya, thanks for the question, by the way. So Tanya's asking, are the sellers your personal clients or someone else's? And we are just focusing on the category of buyers. Yeah, so bus tour, the primary function, Tanya, is to bring your buyers around to look at an assortment of properties that we already know have the highest probability of making sense for an investment. Okay. Now, having said that, if you have the time and energy, you definitely want to get your own listing. So I would not just rely on properties already listed on LoopNet, CoStar, and MLS. I would use, again, like the letter campaign, to go out there and find properties owned by people who need to or want to sell. You can list them if you want. I would suggest you list them actually, but you can also do pocket listings. Okay. I used to do that a lot. I'm not a big fan of pocket listings now, because what it does is it people it's like you're being typecast. Like a Hollywood actor can get typecast if they do too many horror movies, or like, well, they're the horror movie person, or if they're a comedy, they're all they do, or westerns or whatever. Same thing in real estate. If people typecast you as the out-of-pocket guy, chances are when it comes for them time for them to sell a property later on, they won't use you. They want to use somebody who's going to get the property out there on a listing services to get the most traffic. Okay. So just bear that in mind. If you do pocket listings, there's not all upside there. There's some definite potential disadvantages down the road. But Tanya, back to your question. Yes, this is primarily a buyer service. However, it does help you list or sell properties that you already have listed, as long as they make sense for an investment. And I would hope that they would. You can definitely sell your listings and double end those. Okay. Now, okay, this is from thanks, Tanya. So Jim Collins. Hi, Jim. Thanks for the question, by the way. Hey, Jim, you sent me a message. I got to email you back. Let me write this down. Jim Collins about meeting up for dinner. Obviously, that won't be tonight. Tomorrow night, I've got to head down to Miami, and then I'll be in Miami all next week. So I'll see if I can run up one day next week. I'm not sure. I think it's Tuesday. There's no clash. But I'll get back to your email, Jim, on that. As far as the clash right now tonight, where do we get the financials? You want to get the financials from the owner if you're going to go under the radar screen and get properties by using like the letter campaign. Okay, so you want to get the financials from them directly. If you're getting properties on a listing service like LoopNet, CoStar, MLS, you can definitely, well, in those cases, go to the agent. You don't want to go directly to the seller. If it's not your listing, you shouldn't contact the seller directly. You should contact the listing agent and let them know there's going to be viewing the property and need the financials on that. In some cases, listing agents do put in the financials on the listing. I used to do that myself. I hate it when I saw listings of investment properties where the listing agent didn't provide any data. There's nothing to go by, and I would not call them. And what's interesting is most agents will say, well, I don't put the financials on there because then the people have to call me. Well, guess what? That may be true for some people, but a lot of those people, you probably don't want them calling you because they can't actually, they're not qualified. They're not ready. They don't have the readiness, willingness, ability, or timing or motivation in some cases. Okay. So what I'm getting at is this. I only look for, if I look on listing services, I only look for listings that actually have financials already there. And if it looks appealing to me, I'll call and get historical data with me making an offer too. So Jim, I kind of went off on a tangent there, but you take the financials you can get on the listing services, as that's where you're getting properties. If they're not there and you really want to show the property, call and let them know you need some data. Your client's not going to come look at a property without having some kind of data. They're not going to waste your time. All right. We need data first, and the good agents will know this. All right. So if you look at my old listings, Jim, all mine had everything on there I could squeeze on that listing. The rents, not the details of the expenses, but the summary. Okay. Then the details are provided once you start making an offer, or it's called a letter of intent. Okay. So now back to this. Where was I? Getting the financials, showing the properties. It's basically buyer based. So I think we covered those questions. Let me go back here real quick. And get my, oops, sorry. I went way too far ahead. Okay, so we're talking about promoting the properties, right? Now, you can even do a press release too, by the way. There's a tool you can use where you can do a press release that's like $80 for a full-blown release or like $50 for the cheap version, okay? But let me walk you through the marketing of this. So always announce it at your workshop, assuming you're doing a workshop. If not, that's okay. You can send emails to your database, okay? Again, you give them testimonials. First wave of marketing is always testimonials. The second wave are case studies. You can interchange those two, by the way. We've had success doing case studies first, followed by testimonials. So one week, one the next week. You can double up and do 2 postings a week if you want, and I do recommend that. It's just the beginning, most new agents, we just want to get you even do 1 a week just to get started. But let's say you're doing that. The third week, you give them the benefits, why they should do this. They get everything done in 1 day. They get to participate in property selection. The lender is going to be there. The inspector, the contractor is going to be there. They can also meet other investors with whom they can do joint ventures with. Okay, so it's another big benefit. So let's say you've done your email marketing, and maybe you've done some Facebook posts and some LinkedIn posts too. The same post, just different media. About a week in advance, you want to nail down commitments. People are saying, yes, I'm going to go. Here's my confirmation. You want to get that a week in advance. And then a few days ahead of time, you want to email them again, reconfirming and reminding them the day, like 2 days before you want to send them a text or some kind of message through, again, LinkedIn, Facebook, do messages that way. And the day before, anybody you have not received anything from confirming the last 2 days reminders, call them, say, look, we got this thing coming up. You reserved a seat. I'm expecting you'll be there. If you're not, I need to know right away because there's other people want to be on that bus, okay? So you want to confirm you want to increase your show rate by confirming that, okay? Now, if you are this is number 12, if you're a new agent or a newer agent and you don't think you have a large enough following to make a good bus tour, but you really want to do this, you should definitely be using the booklet technique, okay? In fact, you should be doing the booklet technique and then do the workshop technique and then do the bus tour. When you do the bus tour, if people already know you because they met you at your monthly workshop, they've been receiving booklets from you, you've already established to a degree the know you, like you, trust you that they need to be able to pull the trigger and work with you, okay? So what I'm getting at back here is for the newer agents, I'm going to have you hold off on the bus tour, focus on the booklet first to build up your database, build that following, do the workshop. If you don't do the workshop, you can move right into the bus tour. Just know that your bus tour, simply based on a non-workshop marketing program, would generally not get as much interest as people who are doing a workshop. And you generally don't really do a workshop unless you've already done some booklet campaigns, okay? Because you always want to start your first workshop with people that you already have a relationship with, okay? Let's assume you've done that. You followed the instructions, you did your booklet technique for 3 months, you did a workshop for 2 months, and now ready for the bus tour, okay? That's how you have a successful bus tour. In preparation of the bus tour, moving along here, you always want to make copies of all the worksheets. And you get all these worksheets in your material, by the way. So if you look on the My Events and Service, click on the members area. Okay, here, I'll just show you. Let's just go do that. So let's go to My Investment Services. I'm going to share this screen in just a second. So hang on 1 second here once it gets here. Okay, I go to members area. So I clicked on, let me go ahead and do share. So share members area. So I clicked on members area and the computer's thinking about it. Let me click off my email, that'll help speed things up a little bit. Generally, it just flips right in. I'm not sure why this has taken so long, but generally it just goes right in. Okay, while we're waiting on that, here's what I was going to tell you. If you go to My Investment Services, here we go. Members area, click on members area. The next page you want to click on server level, or if you're a server level member, and if you're in a training program, you're automatically in server level. Click on that. Brings up the the members area. They've actually got a login, so hang on just 1 second here. Let's do login. And I'm going to click on dashboard. So hang on just 1 second there. Okay, there we go. My dashboard. I think I did this backwards, but in case I'm in. So we're going to scroll down on the left-hand side. You see all the tools you have, okay? We're going to go to forms and calculators, okay? Forms and calculators. In here, you'll see you can select cash flow analysis. You can select property inspection report, property rehab report, rental profit calculator. It's an Excel spreadsheet. You can do the link to the online calculator, but basically on the forms, print off these forms, property inspection report and property rehab analysis form. Can you all see this? Can you see what I'm looking at? Somebody give me a chat message or say, yes, Gary, I can see the links for downloading the property inspection report and property rehab analysis form. I'm pretty sure I did a share on that. I just want to make sure you can see it. Oh, perfect. Okay. So now back to the checklist. Let me go back there. Where was I? Is this it? Yes. Okay. We're back on the checklist. So you want to bring copies of all these forms. Okay. Now remember, you should edit those forms to put your name on there and your phone number and your email address at a minimum. Okay. You might want to also put on there your physical office address, but at a minimum, your name, your phone number, your email address. You're branding these forms. These forms are given to you to brand, to give to your clients, okay? You're gonna hand those out at the beginning of the bus tour. You're gonna have everybody, tell them ahead of time, the monthly meeting before the bus tour, make sure you tell them to bring a clipboard that they can write on, pens and pencils, a calculator, and a spreadsheet. In fact, I should put this on the checklist. So here's the things you remember to tell your clients to bring on the bus tour. Clipboard, pens, pencils, calculator, flashlight, okay? Sometimes you're going into a property down in the basement, it's dark in the corner where the furnace is or something like that. So it never fails, we always need a flashlight. I also like to have them bring something else, a pair of binoculars, so that we can look up at the roofs, okay? I'm not climbing any ladders. I'm not that old, but I don't want to climb ladders anymore. It's like George Bush said, he just doesn't eat broccoli anymore. I love broccoli, but I don't like to climb ladders. So I'm not going to climb ladders. We'll use a pair of binoculars to look at the roofing, okay? So in any case, a pair of binoculars, and also nowadays our phones do a lot of work for us, okay? These things can do everything the computers could do 10 years ago. But what I used to tell people was bring a video camera with them, and they can walk through the property, recording everything they're seeing in the property, and also talking about what they're seeing. And then later on, they would fill out the information forms. That was the best investors always did. By the way, people who were generally like accountants always came through with a video recorder and recorded everything. Brilliant. Nowadays, you just use your phone. Okay, but you want to make sure your participants are prepared with those basic raw materials. Okay, you're going to bring the forms because you want them to be branded with your information on there, right? Now, you also want to, on the properties you're going to look at, you want to have in advance if they're listed properties, have the listing sheets on those properties. And if they're not listed, if they're out-of-pocket deals, you want to have the basic financials already down. You want to create that yourself for your investors on the ones that are not listed, okay? You've got to give them some information forms. Give them a picture of the property, the address, and a basic rundown on the property. So make sure these folks are prepared ahead of time. You're doing this about 8:30 in the morning with your participants. Everybody's going to show up and meet at 8:30 at either the first property or your office or somewhere that makes sense to meet and start commuting to the properties, okay? In any case, make multiple copies, of course, of that. Now, we talked about the reminder sequence. Just make sure you send out an email reminder of the week in advance. If you're doing Meetup to do this, if you're using Meetup for your monthly workshop, which I do recommend, that's one of the techniques we teach. You can also send up a Meetup message through Meetup to your participants, okay? Always make sure, and by the way, be strategic here. Make sure your bus tour is the Saturday following your next meeting, okay? Because because of that meeting, you're going to go over a lot of things, be prepared. It's really a fun thing to do, bring in cookies, all kinds of stuff, okay? But remind them there, and again, 2 days in advance, we talked about another email, reminder, meetup if you're doing meetup. I would also do a text message, phone call the day before for the people you have not heard from. They've committed prior, but you haven't heard from them in the last week, or they didn't show up at the last meeting. Make sure you call them. And everybody else, the morning of, send them a text message. Tell them you're going to send them a text message at 8 in the morning. Tell them 8 in the morning, reminder, weather's good, we're meeting 8:30, we're going to get started, be there, be on time, do not be late, okay? Now let's do this. I'm going to do a quick pause here because somebody raised their hand. Hang on one second. By the way, guys, for some reason, I don't know why I can't really see hand raises. If you have a question, I can't remember who that was that raised their hand. Use the chat box, and then you can type it in the chat box, okay? Let's see here. Oh, screen is on the forums. That's right. Let me go back to this here. Hang on one second. We don't want to do a new share. We want to go back here. Okay. Where was I? Checklist. There we go. Okay, is that better, Ketcha? Thanks, Ketcha, by the way, for letting me know that. Let's see here. Oh, thank you, Ketcha. Okay, Jim's asking, for me, this is putting the cart before the horse. Is there a webinar I'm putting on? Absolutely. So Jim, again, these weekly webinars, they're not necessarily aligned with the delivery of the course content. These are like open forum, open mic. These are you tell us what you want to discuss, and that's what we prepare for. So this came up in the last month or two. We got a whole series of webinars coming up on the bus tour. Let's see what else. How to get on television. Let's see, what was another one? Oh, working with the banks. That's coming up, Jim. And if you want to do the workshop, if you go, Jim, go back to My Investment Services. Let me go back there. Hang on one second. Let's do screen share that again. So hang on one second. Screen share the silver level membership program. So Jim, watch what I'm going to do here. I'm going to scroll up and see where it says weekly Q&A webinars. Okay, so I'm going to click on that. All right. And then what you can do here is you can click to search, click to see the subject of each webinar. So I clicked on that. I'm going to scroll down, and they're in reverse order. So the most recent one is the top one. As you go down, it goes to the oldest one back in 2015 or something like that. So as you scroll through here, you'll see what the subject is. Just grab the one. There'll be several on workshop, by the way. In fact, here, I'll give you one. This goes back a long ways to 2016. Let me see if I can remember what the date is on that. 2018, 2016, 2017, 2016. Here we go. So Jim, if you go to 2016, February, here it is, 2016-2-18, implementing workshops and using Meetup to increase participation. Jim, go ahead and watch that one, okay? We'll be doing another one coming up here within another 4 to 6 weeks just on workshops, all right? In fact, we've revamped the workshop technique to give you content to give to your clients. So guys, this is pretty big. This has come up recently with 2 of our students who are doing the advanced version of the workshop. They're actually building a community of investors around themselves. And we provide the content that you give to your clients. So your clients are going to ask you, your investor going to say, well, I really need to learn more about investing. And now you can say, well, I've got material for it. And we give it to you to give to them for free, okay? So, but for the meantime, Jim, just watch 2016-2-25, okay? Okay, so back here, go back to the worksheet, the checklist. So next thing is on the bus tour, you want to, in the beginning, you want to get everybody organized. Okay, this is going to be like herding cats. Everybody's going to be talking to each other, hovering around the cars. You got to get them in the cars fast and get going to the first property. Now, before you do that, you got to huddle them together. So this is what we used to do in Scouts. We would literally stand on a bumper or the tailgate of a truck or whatever, raise our hand and start, hey guys, we're going to get started here. Please come gather around for instructions. And you got to belt it out there. You got to belt it out there, okay? I don't know if I'd want to have like a foghorn or anything like that. I mean, you could do that, but essentially you'll probably have a dozen people on your first one, so your own voice should do the job. Gather them around, give them 5 minutes of instructions. Here's what we're going to do. Here's how we're going to do it. Hand out your forms. Make sure they all have a driver. Everybody's got a car they're assigned to, and let them know their first property. Now, you should already know who the drivers are, because you're going to give them the itinerary, the route that you're driving that day in advance, either the week prior at your monthly meeting, or like just an email the day before or something like that. So every driver knows the sequence of stops in the right order, okay? And every driver should have a co-pilot, right? Somebody actually, fielding questions, whatever, keeping you on track, because it can get kind of busy. People ask questions or get distracted. It's easy to get separated in traffic. So have a co-pilot, okay? Somebody can volunteer the morning of the event. Now, you always want to make sure you arrive at the first property no later than 9 a.m. We get started at 9 a.m., okay? And you guys, you're going to be looking at probably 12 properties, right? You want to go till 3, literally just nonstop. I know you're thinking, what about lunch? You can stop for lunch. I'm not suggesting you don't do that. What I'm telling you is just be prepared. If you stop for lunch, you got another opportunity to corral the groups, the group of people, get them back together again, not lose anybody, because some people will say, well, hey, you got an hour, I'm going to go to Walmart and get up my toothpaste and soap. Just stuff's going to happen. Just know this. If you have a lunch break like that, it's going to happen. Not only that, if you do that, you want to let people know ahead of time, you're pre-selected the restaurant, and you're going to have everybody pay Dutch, and you're going to have a roped off area where you go sit, okay? So just remember, if you plan a lunch with this thing, you get another layer of planning to deal with, right? I used to tell people, bring a brown bag lunch, bring an apple, bring a banana, bring a sandwich, eat it en route, because we're going to keep rolling. That's what I told them. I said, this is serious business, we're rocking and rolling, eat on the fly. That's what I did. I didn't have to worry about lunch breaks and all that extra layer of coordination. So, anyways, back to this. You want to wrap up at 3 o'clock because you want to have time for everybody to work with a lender to start writing offers, okay, before everybody goes home for dinner. This is why we want to finish up by 3. That gives you 2 to 3 hours to get all your offers written, get people lined up, and get basically the ball rolling on these offers, okay? So in any case, moving on here, so you have your bus tour. Whoops, excuse me. I think that was, yeah. Now, by the end of the day, chances are half or more of the participants have already selected the properties they want. This is one of the greatest advantages of having a bus tour. Subconsciously, it's called engagement. They're engaging with you in the properties. They're comparing properties side by side, apples to apples. They're determining which ones they want. They're saying, I want this one. And this is one of the biggest reasons why bus tours work, is because at the end of the day, they see there's 11 other people there looking to make offers. And you know, the early bird gets the gold, right? The people who take action get results. So it's a perfect environment for you to allow for and empower people to take action and write offers on these properties. You should have, every person there should be writing an offer. That's the goal. Every person should be writing an offer. You may have a situation where you got more than one offer on a property. That's going to happen. Get used to it. It happens in the real world anyway, so you might as well get used to it. You can't let them see each other's offers. That's obviously unethical. What you say is you present them at the same time. Nobody gets favoritism. You present them at the same time, and the seller gets to react or respond or accept which one they want, or simply counter offer. Okay, then you're in what's called a highest and best offer scenario. I'm just giving you some examples of things that are going to happen. In most cases, if you take out 12 people, look at 12 properties, you probably will have 6 deals. Okay. We got to the point we were doing the big charter bus, 36 people, and we broke them up. Again, the flipping group would go out this month, the rental group would go out the next month. We never did 2 in the same day because there was only so many of us to go around. And then we do it again every quarter, and it worked awesome because in most cases, in 90 days, whatever properties they bought the first time are now up in service. They've been refinanced, whatever the case is, they pull their money back out and they're ready for the next one. And just basically, we found out quarterly was the right approach. Okay. Now, you want to make sure the offers are written in their entirety and complete. Lenders should have already been prepared if they're getting financing. You need to have proof of funds if they're using cash to any degree, like a down payment, for example. Okay. And when you go home tonight, you submit those offers. At a minimum, you should have all your offers written and submitted by the next day, which is Sunday. But here's why I like to do all this on a Saturday. Finish up at 3 o'clock. It gives you time to have wrap-up conversations. People have questions. You can spend the next 2 to 3 hours with them, answering questions, helping them finalize their offers, things like that. Take it back to the office if you want to. You can do it at the last property. You can do it right there on the hood of your car or on the tailgate of your truck, whatever the case is. The point is this: do not leave the scene until you've spoken to every single person there, and you got offers, if not already completely written, already started for every single person. You'll have your rare occasion where somebody says, I just didn't see anything I like. Well, quite frankly, if 11 other people made offers and one person didn't, they might be more like the tire kicker kind of person, all right? And you use this as a filtering mechanism. In any case, let me check the questions here because that last section generated a lot of interaction here. So let me go to the chat box. Let's see, can we do raising capital webinar? Louis, I know I tell you, we will definitely do that. Maybe we can run a private lenders report in advance, something like that. We can also talk about joint ventures. And what I'll do in advance, maybe Louis, is Louis, did I ever send you the chapter from the Massive Passive Cash Flow Method, the big book? Did I ever send you that chapter on creative purchasing techniques? I can't remember if I sent you that or not. It's about 100 pages, 30 different creative purchasing techniques. When in there, it talks about how to, basically be creative, raising capital and purchasing properties. What I'll do, I'll send that to you, and we can use that as our guideline for having that webinar. So let me write this down. We want to do raising capital webinar. So Jim, and for the new folks, this is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. So Louis thinking ahead, what can we talk about on a future webinar? We've already got the next 6 or 7 lined up, but I'll change the order for something that's a higher priority or more timely or more relevant. We'll move that subject up a little bit. But the point is you get to have influence on what we talk about here. So take advantage of it. Be like Louis, all right? Let's see, raising capital. Okay, who rates the offers? Do you need to be a realtor? On the bus tour technique, Louis, the entire premise is that you are definitely acting in a role as a realtor and making offers. However, I have seen and been on bus tours that do not involve a realtor. You just have whatever the leader is of the group, and the people themselves are right there on offers. I prefer to approach this from the position of broker representing clients. That way there's some control there. I'm the bus driver and I put the right people on the right seat on the right bus. Everything's on the up and up. Everything's done based on, basically honor, integrity, and of course, ethical, all right? So that's my personal opinion, but I have seen bus tours where it's not realtor driven. Okay, now, whose real estate lawyers would you use for seller and buyer? Your contracts of the sellers and the buyers own? No, sir, not yet. Okay. So a couple things here, Louis. If there's a lender involved, a lot of times the lender is already going to select an attorney. Okay. They have one that works for the bank. If you're already a realtor, chances are the office you work out of is going to have an attorney that they are already aligned with, or a settlement company they're aligned with. However, in most states and provinces, legally speaking, the buyer has the right to choose a title company or settlement company. The buyer has the right. Very rarely have I seen it be the seller's responsibility or the seller's right, okay? So the buyer can choose, but just know this, if you or your buyer are using a lender, you're getting a loan from a bank, even if you use your own attorney or your own settlement company, the lender's going to say, well, we're still going to charge you because we're still going to have our guy look at this deal. So you might as well just use their guy, right? As far as contracts, we always use the board's forms. We always use the board's forms on contracts, okay? So let's see here, some more questions came up here. Let's just see, Shika, Harry, what's the typical commission rating on the capital? So I think what you're asking, Shika, is and be careful here, guys, this is sort of an advanced question. Technically speaking, most of us are investors or realtors or both. I'm both, some of you are both, and all of you should be both, by the way. When it comes to raising capital like you're syndicating, that's an entirely different ball of wax. And we don't really teach that. We tell you about it, we show you what's done, but when it comes to syndication, you definitely need to get an attorney to lead you and guide you, because there's some legal stuff there you need to be aware of. And I'm not an attorney, right? And most of us are not attorneys here. So if you're looking to raise capital through syndication, you're getting into SEC rules and stuff like that, a whole different bailiwicks, right? Now, if you're just looking to help people form partnerships, well, that's a whole different thing. You as an agent can say, hey, Bob meet John, John meet Jane, and Jane meet Sue. I think the four of you would work together as a partnership. You all want to buy rental properties. Here's this big building. Collectively, you probably would qualify. And you can raise capital that way. In that case, you really wouldn't get anything other than the commission on the sale of the property, right? Now, if you're looking to raise funds for a company, you're still forming a company, and you're soliciting investors to put funds into the company to buy properties, well, again, that's more advanced. And I would say an average commission rate there would be 6%, but you've got to make sure whatever state of province you're in, you're following those laws, okay? Because if you're doing that type of work, sometimes they say you've got to have a particular license to be able to do that, right? A securities license. And most realtors don't have that securities license, okay? There's different levels, different classes of licenses for doing that. I'm not going to really go too much more detail than that on that, because it's beyond the scope of this webinar, but also it's beyond the scope of typical real estate brokerage. And I want to make sure whatever you do, you let your broker know what you're doing, and chances are they'll have somebody that they want you to talk to, or they'll already have people already do that kind of work, and you can tap into that and use their attorney, okay? So, so Louis saying not in, so Louis, not in Canada, was that with reference to selection of the title company? Because I know in Canada, I've seen it where a lot of times a seller will say that here's who we're going to use, okay? Is that, yeah, oh, thank you, Louis, I appreciate that. Yeah, and Shika said yes on raising the capital. So Shika, remember, you can raise capital yourself, by the way. You can form a little informal partnership, set up an LLC, okay? And maybe it's amongst family members, and everybody kicks in, say $10,000, something like that. That's not that big a deal. It's amongst family members. It's closed. You're not actively promoting it to the general public, which is a line of demarcation. When you start promoting something about raising funds, you're going to catch the attention of the SEC, okay? If it's just closed internal network, and you're simply a participant in the LLC, and your contribution is you're putting it all together, from everybody kicks in 10,000, maybe your contribution of time is approved from the other members of being worth $10,000. So that's the most common thing I've seen, Shika. You contribute your time, it's worth $10,000. Everybody else contributes the actual $10,000, okay? That's one way to skin that cat. All right, so back to the session tonight. Beverly's gonna send this out, guys, as a checklist. We may make some modifications along the way. But I wanna get an idea, in the chat box, type in yes if you're interested in doing workshops, okay? Because I need to make sure we put this on your plan for the year. I just want to get more information about where you are currently in your business and how big your database is. Have you done workshops? Do you plan on doing workshops? Have you even done the booklet yet? So like Jim, I would suggest definitely start off with the booklet right off the bat. Get that going first, all right? And then if you want to jump right to bus tour, obviously do that. If not, do the workshop next. And I'm just telling you this, guys. I'm just use me as living evidence. Okay, your bus tour will be more successful if you've already done workshops. Just across the board, that's what we see. Not just my own experience, but other agents that I've worked with. Okay. So in any case, guys, let me do one more quick check of the chat box here, and we'll wrap this one up. So let's see. Tanya says yes, eventually. Jim says yes. Louis says yes. Cheryl says not ready yet. Cheryl, I appreciate your candor there. And so Cheryl, you and I think you scheduled Cheryl, did you already schedule your first strategy call? I think I saw that earlier. Good. Yes, you did actually. I do remember that now. Bill, good to see you, Bill. Workshops on yes. So Bill, focus on the workshops now then. And Louis says the same exact thing. Well, guys, I tell you what, this was a fun night. Next week, what I had planned was, hang on one second here, to do the getting on TV. The only reason is it came up in December, and I promised you I would put together a checklist for you to get on television. So I did that, and I want to show it to you. It's not that complex. You don't have to be the area guru. You can be pretty new, good segment proposal. So I'm going to give you, we'll go over that next week, how to be on TV. That's going to be, by the way, February 3rd, next Monday, okay? I'll give you step-by-step. I'm going to give you examples of segment proposals. I'll give you examples of scripts to work with the television stations. Everything you need to know how to get on television at a local level. I'm going to do that next week. So you guys, listen, take care of yourselves. In the meantime, just relax, enjoy the evening. If you're in Florida like me, and a lot of you are right now, it's beautiful outside. Let's go enjoy the weather, be present with your family and friends. And when you wake up in the morning, be ready to hit the road, rocking and rolling. So this whole thing is about taking action. So just get after it, okay? You guys have a good night. God bless you and your families. And we will see you next week. Okay, I think that is it. Let's see. Yes. All right, take care, guys. God bless. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.